And now here is David Goodfriend with a Daily Rant. Hello, David.
Hello, Dylan. If I look just a little more tan than usual, that's because I just came back from a family trip down to Miami for President's Day weekend. Highlights included sea kayaking on the Intercoastal, paddleboarding in the Atlantic, and biking down South Beach. Natural beauty of water and coast at its best. But I learned about something happening over on the Gulf Coast that has me madder than a Florida gator. Remember the BP oil spill? The largest oil spill in U.S. history, caused by greedy bastardism at its worst, where BP apparently skirted safety practices, lied about how much oil was spilling into the Gulf, and government regulators have been weakened by years of oil industry lobbying. Remember that one? Well, despite those gauzy TV commercials BP is paying for, including right here on MSNBC, they're up to no good again. In less than a week, oral arguments between the U.S. Department of Justice and BP are set to begin in court. And apparently BP is trying to settle its way out of cleaning up the mess it made. First of all, of the $20 billion BP set aside to pay people whose livelihoods were hurt by the spill, only about $6.5 billion has been allocated. The fund's director, Ken Feinberg, says his work is done and the rest of the money can go to the U.S. Treasury. Really? Are we that convinced that we've seen the last of the economic damage done by this spill? Up in Alaska, fishermen are still trying to recover from the Exxon Valdez spill. Second, if you add up the total liability BP could face in court, it's anywhere from $5 to $21 billion in civil and criminal penalties, plus by BP's own estimate in court documents, up to $42 billion in cleanup costs and economic restoration. So let me get this straight. Only $6.5 billion have been spent so far on actually helping people and the environment in the Gulf. That's out of $20 billion set aside and another $63 billion in legal liabilities BP could face. Hey, by my math, that's 8% of total funds actually going to cleaning up the mess, or just under BP's profits per quarter. Talk about getting off easy. Here's some advice for my fellow lawyers at the Department of Justice. Don't settle before oral arguments begin. You've got a great case. Make them sweat. And get a settlement where the money goes to the Gulf and stays there forever. How about a trust fund whose earnings after paying for restoration are used for ongoing environmental protection? Won't cost the taxpayers a dime. Or Congress can pass the Restore Act, which Gulf state senators introduced to keep the money where it's needed most. You know, legal settlements should do two things: punish the wrongdoer and clean up the mess they made. In this case, any result that doesn't accomplish both will be a total failure.
Not to mix too many of these things together, but how much, considering how the Department of Justice has done absolutely nothing against banks that are rife with evidence of fraud, with the clear connection being the incredible reliance of politicians on money from the banks, how much does the dependence of oil money on these political structures throw a monkey into the entire situation?
You're absolutely right to name the banks. There's a pattern here. Settlements should really do the real thing. They shouldn't just be a slap on the wrist, and we got to see a real settlement here.
All right, listen, thanks for bringing this one to our attention, David. That'll do it for us today. I am Dylan Radigan. We're off to Kentucky right after the show tonight. We'll see you live from Lexington tomorrow, and Hardball with Chris Matthews starts right now.